You want to do our silly little intro that we haven't done?
It's a very serious intro, Tavi. It's not silly at all.
We've changed. We haven't changed our intro, but our content has like kind of changed. Like we don't even talk about exclusively. Well, we try to. But we kind of lose the way a little bit.
Do you want me to change the intro? Is that what this is, Tavi? Do you want me to make it law accurate?
I don't know.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes Podcast, a podcast where we sometimes talk about Asian pop culture, but not always. Sometimes we'll talk about an Australian film. Sometimes we'll just talk about something random that has one Asian person in it. Is that what you want, Tavi?
we kind of just talk. I mean, yeah, we still want to focus more on the Asian side of things, the Asian cinema.
Sometimes
side
we'll
of
do a reaction video to the movie. What's that shark song? That shark song that we did a reaction to that we never released.
Oh yeah,
Chomp.
the Chomp. Yeah.
Sometimes we'll do that and just not release it.
Yeah, I've lost that footage. No, I've got it somewhere. I just haven't.
Let us know if you want to watch a reaction video to Chomp.
So many people watch Chomp.
So many people watch. Everybody that watched Meg 2 probably listened to the song Chomp by whoever that guy was. I forget his name.
I completely forgot his name. So, yeah, isn't it something Kennedy or something like that?
Paige Kennedy?
Yes, Paige Kennedy. Yeah. Anyway, what a completely
this episode has gotten off to a weird start.
Yes.
Hi everyone, it's us.
Yeah, we're doing something. I wouldn't say this is different within our realm, but we are jumping online to the Japanese Film Festival 2024.
It's underway.
Yeah,
started yesterday as of recording. So it starts from the 5th of June and finishes on the 19th of June. Yeah, lots of good Japanese films in the lineup. So we just spent the night watching 4 short horror films. So this is part of a competition that they're running, right, Tavi?
I think so. It seems like they've all won different competitions, but these are 4 short horror films. They kind of range from maybe an average of like 10 minutes. One of them is an outlier at like 30 minutes, but they're quite short. With the varying budgets and I would say actually like pretty high quality indie filmmaking.
Yeah,
I
mean like all of the directors involved have won some kind of award in their field. So, but we'll talk about that more when we get into the movies. But just on the Japanese Film Festival, it is free and it is online. So I would definitely recommend people check it out, especially if you're a fan of Japanese cinema. And if you're a fan of J-horror like us, these 4 short films that we're going to talk about tonight are well worth a watch.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them. Yeah,
lots of fun.
It's also like quite the mood that has been set. I'm in very thunderstormy Sydney at the moment, and while we were prepping this recording, there was like flashes of lightning and shit. It's pretty pretty intense.
And most of these horror films are set in like a small abode of some kind, much like the apartment that we're in at the moment.
So it's gonna make for an interesting sleep tonight. So I've got my coffee and my fears all pepped up to keep me awake. So
for those that don't know, we are very big fans of Japanese horror cinema of the past and of recent times. We've done a few episodes on works by legendary directors Takashi Shimizu, Hideo Kojima. That's not right. Hideo Nakata. And we've done an episode that was just an homage to Japanese horror of the 90s. I'll put those links in the description below.
That's right. That was one of our first episodes, our first Halloween
special. It holds up, man. Not bad.
Yeah.
We are big fans of Japanese horror cinema. It's kind of a genre that has it hit big in the 90s and it's kind of been around, but it has kind of dropped off lately.
Well, I've been watching a fair bit of J-horror because I hadn't watched it for a little while, and I stumbled across this video from this YouTuber who did like a pyramid J-horror pyramid video. Okay. And then I was just watching that while doing something else, and some of the movies that popped up were like look pretty cool, and like, yeah, I managed to get my hands on a couple of the ones that like look pretty interesting, and I've been watching a few of them. I recently today watched Liver Leaf, which is counted genre as a drama horror, and I won't go into it too much because maybe I might want to talk about it, but it is
grim.
It's very grim. It's very bleak. It is very, very bleak, but very. I'm not sure if enjoyable is the word. I found it enjoyable, but I'm a bit of a messed up person. It's depictions of bullying over the top, but it's definitely the feeling is there.
Yeah.
But I also watched another short horror called Difficulty Breathing, which is just about that's a short one as well. Just about this girl who's in another small abode, and it's shot on like 480p. And looks really like old, and she just is freaking out from just all manner of things. And I think like someone is chasing her as well, so I won't give it too much away. And I watched Chime from Kiyoshi Kurosawa, which is I think he released it in a weird way, like through like blockchain or something.
Okay,
yeah, it's
that's very of the time.
Very fucking weird, but pretty good movie. That's strange. It's about this guy who like starts hearing a chime, and it kind of like messes him up a bit. And that's all I can really say about it. It's a strange movie.
Okay.
And yeah, it also gets a bit brutal at times, but good. So I think J-horror is evolving from the sense of it's kind of moving away from the yurei supernatural stuff, which maybe that might be proven wrong with these shorts because they do have like the classic
Most of them do have those,
But from the ones that I've seen and that have caught my interest, it's more on the psychological or almost like the gore aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always surprising to see the fact that the Japanese censorship is pretty harsh, but some of these movies, like, damn, man, you wouldn't be able to release this anywhere else. It's like, as long as the violence is not super realistic, you can make it as fucking dark as you want, thematic wise. And I just find that very interesting. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. So the 4 shorts that we're going to be talking about today, they're part of the Japanese Film Festival horror shorts competition. I'll put a link in the description, but yeah, if you want to check them out before listening to us talk about them, probably head to jff.com.
You should check it out. It's free.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free.
And it's online. You don't even need to leave your house.
You don't need to leave the house.
You got no excuses, guys. Go watch them. And then come listen to us talk about them. Because we're going to do full spoilers. Because they're shorts. You can't really dance around spoilers. We'll go in order, yeah, Tavi?
Yeah. So the first one is Best Wishes to All. And what it's written on the JFF website is there somebody on the second floor? What did the college student see at her grandparents' house? And it says that it was the memorable winner of the inaugural Japan horror film competition. Contains scenes with blood and violence. Ooh, what have we got a badass here? And this one's by Shimotsu Yuta. Yeah. So, it's, as it says there, it's about a college student who returns home to kind of like a rural Japanese area, it seems, out of town.
I mean, it's mostly set in a house, but yeah, you do get a sense that it is kind of like the countryside because she's staying with her grandparents as well, who are kind of like, they're old people. Yeah. So it starts off pretty quaint, like they're just kind of like getting to know each other. Again, just kind of like, talking shit, catching up. And then she hears a bump on the second floor. And then her grandparents start acting real weird.
Yeah, I think what you notice, like the grandma just keeps overpouring tea or something.
Yeah, they kind of just freeze in their tracks, right? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of just them doing weird stuff. That's not like overtly scary, but
it's creepy.
And it's weird. It's just weird behavior.
The grandparents, they're tucking the daughter in, or the granddaughter, and they kind of just, there's this lingering shot of them just staring at her, and then they say goodnight.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's almost in a sense that it's not in the sense that actors are waiting for their cue. There's just something a little bit off about them.
It almost is like they're waiting for their cue, you know?
Yeah.
Like I have a, you could believe that it was just like them. They were waiting for their cue, and then he said, "Okay, go."
Yeah.
And he just used that shot.
I feel like, especially when you edit movies and when you shoot stuff that is on a low budget, you kind of come across these little mistakes that actually add to your movie.
Yeah.
And that I think that happens in one of the other movies a bit later that you and I maybe noticed. But yeah, that's the kind of the really cool thing about filmmaking is you have something that just aligns so perfectly. And even in the edit bay, it's just like, oh, some guy would just chuck a clip on and then they'll watch it later. And it's like, oh, that actually works really well. I'm never going to touch it again.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works.
And if that is the case, it's just a clever use of, that shot. Because it is, the overall effect is quite creepy.
Yeah.
Even though it might not make sense to the narrative of the story. Because like the shot is like facing them, right?
Yeah.
But what is the girl like witnessing? Like what is she? Is she just watching them stare at her?
Is she just tucking herself in or something?
Yeah, I guess so.
Just like,
I guess it might work. But yeah, they do a series of creepy things. And then like in typical, horror fashion, stuff goes bump in the night. And the girl goes to investigate the source of the sound. And then grandma's behind her.
Yeah.
And it's like that cool kind of hallway shot where it's like grandma silhouetted in the darkness at the end of the hallway.
Yeah.
And the girl's just kind of like staring at her, peering at her through the darkness.
It's classic.
Yeah. And the grandma just comes at her, starts like knocking her head against the door.
There's the fear that I've noticed that is sort of becoming a trend. I guess not even just in Japanese film. You could even argue Hereditary does this as well. It's fear of the family, fear of the familiar. There's a really popular, I guess it's a psychological horror manga. I think it's called Blood on the Tracks, where the son witnesses his mother like push like his cousin off a cliff, and then he's like tries to keep it a secret, and he feels guilt over it or something. Yeah. So I haven't read all of it, but it's intense because you see like snippets of the mother lose her shit at times. But yeah, so I find this kind of horror very interesting. Just the person that you feel, or the people that you should feel the safest around, it's like there's something wrong with them.
Well, I mean, isn't it like statistically, if there is a murder, it's usually a family member doing the murdering.
It's tough,
who's to say this fear is not justified?
Yeah. And then I guess later on she is she's just having, I think, lunch or something. With them.
Yeah.
And then she just sees this figure crawling behind them, like crawling across. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? And then the way the grandparents kind of just turn around as if it's kind of a matter of fact thing. And then they're just like,
say no. They just drag him away.
Drag him back in. And then just say like, I thought you fucking tied him up properly. It's like, I don't know how he escaped.
Yeah, they're just having like a married couple squabble over this guy who is like his eyelids sewn shut and his mouth sewn shut.
Were his feet and hands like cut off? Like it very much reminded me of Audition.
I don't think so. I think he still had his limbs. But he was like half naked and he was in a bad way. Let's just say that. And then the granddaughter's like, "What the fuck is happening? Can you tell me what's happening?" Because they're not like really addressing her at all. And then the grandma explains that their happiness is tied to this man's unhappiness. And then she goes on to further explain that now she will need to choose what does she call it, a sacrifice?
It's a sacrifice, to someone
of her
to
own.
suffer, so that she can be happy.
Cut to naive Japanese boy who just wants
earlier.
a date. He does pop up earlier.
She like doesn't like him or something.
I mean like they're friendly enough.
But doesn't he give her something and she's just like cute more or something like that? Or am I
I think you're thinking of a different movie later on. She's all smiles around him and they're polite enough.
So,
you get a sense, that they have some history together, maybe childhood friends or something like that. But yeah, now he's gonna get his eyes sewn shut, presumably,
and then tied up, and
Yep.
It's pretty interesting. So the premise of it is that the director left a little message saying it's about just the idea that one's happiness can only be attained if someone else suffers.
So it's the sum total of the unhappiness in the world and the sum total of the happiness in the world, the balance is zero, right? So this is like it's not urban legend.
It's kind of just
a theology.
A theology, yeah. It really reminds me of, I was just looking it up now. There's a pretty popular like science fiction short story called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omalis.
Okay.
And it's not very long. And it is about this city that has attained utopia. Like everyone is happy, but everyone's happiness is tied to this little girl that they keep buried in this facility, like below ground. And she is... I'm not sure if they torture her, but she is basically malnourished and completely unhappy, but they keep her alive. And it's basically her suffering is what is fueling the happiness for everyone else.
Okay.
And it's pretty grim.
Yeah.
It's pretty, it's pretty dark. I think that one was written by pretty popular sci-fi writer Ursula Le Guin.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's, I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. So it's definitely like quite thematic in that sense. And
well, this was I think he explained that it's some kind of Japanese theology as well.
oh, okay, yeah. All to do with like inner conflict and suffering, and
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
we
funny
had too
because
much
he's
time to think,
explaining
yeah.
this like really dark concept of like creating unhappy people so that you yourself can be happy, and he's like smiling and he's beside a pool, like at some kind of
some,
function.
like holiday house or something. Yeah, man, it's a sunny day in there.
He's like, oh yeah, I just wanted to make a movie about creating suffering so that you yourself are happy.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But overall, I think I like this one. I think this one had probably the strongest like thematic wise. And overall, I think the cinematography is good. The acting is good. The lighting
a lot of
is,
nice frames in this one. Yeah,
a lot of really cool like horror frames. There was
really
definitely some
effective
budget.
use of the location, just the house.
Yeah, Japanese houses, man. That's the getaway from watching all these fucking Japanese houses, man. It's just like
It's scary.
scary shit. Yeah. Do we want to move on to the next one, or do you have anything else to say about this one?
Yeah, no, I think this is probably the best looking film out of the ones that we watched. Yeah. And yeah, I do enjoy the themes. But yeah, okay, let's talk about the next one. Next one is called Closet.
So this one was an interesting one. It says here on the blurb, terrifying closet versus a young man, a new style of horror depicting the fears of hiding in daily life. I didn't actually read that one before we watched it. It's kind of a funny long closet versus a young man. Makes it seem like a campy.
It's like Wile E. Coyote versus the Roadrunner.
But yeah, this one was probably the one that had the lowest budget out of all of them. It seems like this was entirely made by Nakano Hiroto.
Yeah, so he's the director and also the star of this film.
Yeah, and probably the editor as well.
Oh yeah, he did say he did.
Yeah, the credit, it just has his name.
Yeah.
Like there's no one else. And it does look like it was, you and I suspect that there was probably one other or two other people that he just didn't feel like crediting, but it looks really low budget. But that's not to besmirch the quality of the movie. It's like the plot wise, it's just a young guy lives in an apartment by himself and he's stressed about work.
He's kind of established as a bit of a loser.
Yeah.
Work is like his boss is telling him off on the phone. Then he rings his friend or like love interest maybe, and they reject him.
I don't know. Is it because he's a once?
It could. Oh yeah. There's a sneaky little Twice merchandise in this.
Shout out to
I see
Twice,
you. Whatever your name. What's his name?
what's it, Nakano Hiroto.
Yeah, I see you, Hiroto.
Yeah. But yeah, no, basically he starts doing work, and then he starts hearing noise from a closet, and he starts seeing, like, you know, hands and feet. This one there's not really that much to it. A lot of it is just shots of the closet and just him kind of... There's actually a really effective shot is when he's writing in his book. He's writing in a note, and you see, like, his feet come, like, closer towards him. Yeah.
That's why we suspect there's more than one person maybe in this film. Because there are a pair of feet and a hand at one point. But yeah, maybe he used clever camera tricks to achieve that.
Yeah. He could probably do some...
Maybe he mounted... Yeah, I don't know how he could have done it if it was just him, actually. Yeah. Because the camera is moving.
Yeah, I mean, if you got Da Vinci, you can do, like... I forgot what it's called, like scale masking or some shit like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Moving it around. But
could have done that.
Yeah.
And then you see the guy's face pop up.
Yeah. It did get me. The jump scare did get me. But the dude's face... I guess due to the low budget nature, it's quite literally just a dude's face.
It's just a dude's face.
It's just a dude's face.
Yeah. But like, I mean, like, he uses a horror sting to kind of sell the jump scare.
The feet were scary, though. They were, like, quite, like, bleak, you know, kind of...
grey,
decomposed looking, lifeless looking.
Yeah, and they're not doing anything. They're just kind of there.
Yeah. But, you know, there's some pretty, like, cool scenes of him, like, you know, investigating the closet and taking... a photo of the closet, and then like he doesn't see anything, but he sees something in the photo.
Yeah.
This one is a very simple one.
It was filmed in a studio apartment, it seems. Like very small space, right? And I think you get a real sense of that claustrophobia, which I guess ties...
just his apartment. I'm sure he just lives there.
But I mean, like, it's a Japanese apartment, so it's like tiny, right? Smaller. So like logistically, to film in that kind of space, it would have been pretty tricky.
Yeah.
Even though, like, you know, the scale of the story is not that big, but... So yeah, it's impressive. And like I said, like, you do get a sense of that claustrophobia, which I think ties to the themes of this film as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly like, you can feel the budget, but I think it is also used pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, kudos to the guy who... He made this by himself, but he's also, in his message, he says, like, he's made a fair few, like, YouTube videos with his friends. So he's had some practice.
It kind of feels like a YouTube video. It feels a bit like a skit.
Yeah.
At
I think
times.
it's probably like the low budgetness of it. But
yeah, I think that even the camera movements, like, it does have a bit of a YouTube feeling, which is not like a negative thing, I think. Like, I think it works for this film.
Yeah, but like, good on him for, like, you know, being able to make something on his own, and it is something of quality. I mean, Lord knows I've worked on projects where I'm not going to name names, but
it was basically this, but like
basically this,
not as focused.
It's definitely not going to be seen on any kind of festival anytime soon, and I'd like to get my name off it.
Making films isn't easy, you know. Like, you know, you gotta know what you're doing. The fact that he did it all himself is very impressive, and I think, like, it's got a little ironic twist at the end as well. So basically, he keeps investigating this closet where these sounds are coming from, even though it's clearly like a supernatural entity. He keeps, like, trying to have a peek what's going on in this closet, and eventually he gets pulled into the closet, after which he steps out of the closet and does like a little Jacob's Ladder twitch kind of thing.
Very popular.
And then he goes to work, and he's actually better at life now that he's been possessed or whatever.
That's interesting.
So I don't know if that's that's probably some kind of deliberate commentary on I guess Japanese work culture maybe. Because I guess when he explained that the themes of this film were to do with COVID lockdown, right? The horror of isolation, maybe.
Isolation and just the fear of everyday stuff. Like a closet, you know. So I think that sells it. This movie sells it pretty well. Pretty straightforward. Not that much more to ponder into this one, I don't think. This one was the shortest one at 8 minutes. The
next one though is called KARAKASA. the tagline is, sorry, the synopsis is, an umbrella you must never open. A frightening killer umbrella flies across the sky. I didn't read this before watching
I didn't read
this
it
movie.
either.
But yeah, they're not wrong. So this is the longest offering that we watched today at about 30 minutes. The director of this film...
Yamamoto Kenji is his name.
Okay. Yeah. What are his accolades?
Well, this one, it says he won the Occult Award, which was presented by a YouTube channel.
Okay.
It doesn't say. This is just the site's introduction. But basically, it kind of revolves around a girl who moves into a share house, but it kind of opens up with it raining heavily, and she sees this weird umbrella, and she's about to use it for herself, but then some guy just picks it up, and then she moves into the share house, and she's living her best life, you know. But then it's raining again. She didn't learn a lesson, but then she sees that same umbrella, and it's like, oh, I'm going to use this umbrella, and then the umbrella spirits her away, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Good effects though on the Yurei. So basically she opens the umbrella and then she feels a drop of blood land on her hand, and then she looks up and the ghost lady is like hanging from the inside of the umbrella.
Yeah.
And like pulls her up into the umbrella. Which it looked pretty good.
It's pretty cool, yeah. And then you kind of see her feet like flailing around.
Yeah.
And also, I wonder because you and I were discussing, because I think the stream, because I guess the Japanese Film Festival don't have the Netflix, budget to have a really fast server. So a lot of these streams are only at like 576p, which is, I think it's just under 1080 HD. It's not full HD. It's just HD, I think. But it kind of gives it a slightly grainier look, like a lower quality look that almost kind of adds to it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the horror movies that we watched in the 90s and early 2000s had that same look about it, like a lot of the direct-to-video movies as well. So maybe it is like just a bit of nostalgia there. I think it's a good aesthetic for a horror, for sure. Yeah, that little bit of graininess.
Yeah. And but basically, it kind of
probably hides some like chunky effects as well. So that doesn't hurt.
Well, I think it's interesting because the movie kind of sets up Ayaka, who is this character that does get spirited away. She seems to be the protagonist, but then she gets sucked up into the umbrella
about halfway through the movie.
And then it is about her two roommates and her, I guess, her boyfriend, who is worried about her. She's been missing for like a day or so. Yeah. And they keep kind of brushing it off as, it happens all the time. And it's kind of a common trope in the horror movie. I was like, you got to think rationally,
Yeah.
And then they eventually start investigating the history of the umbrella. There was a point where you and I were like, oh, I wonder if this movie... Oh, you were wondering if this movie was directed by like a female director. Yeah,
because there's a lot of focus on like the female characters in there. And there's kind of like a lot of like character building, I guess, like more than you would expect from like a short
horror. Yeah, there was one shot where one of the characters is just doing yoga though, and it goes on for a little bit, and it's like it's pretty much clearly there because like she's hot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like this is I'm pretty sure the director's a dude. And then there's like another shot where you see like cleavage. I'm like, yeah, it's a guy. And then after we watch the movie, like, yeah, it's a dude.
It's a dude.
But like detracting aside from that thing, like we kind of learn about the history a little bit.
There's a big exposition dump.
Yeah,
like,
which we kind
about 3/4 or 2/3 of the way through the film.
Yeah, we're not really sure if that really kind of worked. I think it kind of dragged the movie down a little bit in the sense that you said the film had pacing issues, and you and I probably both just zoned out because we were eating dinner at the same time, and we had kind of zoned out while we were watching that moment. So I don't even really remember.
Yeah,
what the
the exposition dump is basically like, so one of Ayaka's friend has a spooky experience in the tunnels, so they do a bit of investigating together. So it's two girls looking at a
really
laptop.
Cool scene, actually.
Yeah,
we should talk about that scene a little bit.
Yeah. So she's like walking through a tunnel. Yeah, it's pretty spooky tunnel. Oh, there's a lot of spooky locations in this film.
That's true. We have to give it credit for that. There were a lot of locations.
Yeah,
there's definitely, but this movie had budget for sure.
Or they just like, found places.
Clever, guerrilla shooting. But a lot of the camera, it didn't look like it was guerrilla shooting though. It looked like they actually had the time to set a frame and keep it still. Because guerrilla shooting is often like handheld because, oh shit, cops come, get out. It's
the town itself is pretty, it's not like really urban.
Rural.
Yeah, it's not quite rural. It's not quite urban. It's like suburban, I guess.
It's kind of like the Tottenham of Japan, if you're familiar with
okay.
which is kind of in Melbourne, it's like in between Sunshine and St. Albans. Stab Vale. But it's like, in between. It's just industrial area.
Yeah, so like the tunnel thing is a really good location to shoot in because it's creepy as and she has a spooky experience there. There's like the typical wet footsteps following her and like long hanging hair.
This one was probably out of all of them that we'd seen up to this point, it was the most tropey in terms of classic J-horror.
Yeah, you get
I love like J-horror tropes.
You get the typical Yurei with the long wet hair and she's wearing a black dress in this one. They added an umbrella, so I think the director explained that this is the KARAKASA Yurei or whatever. So, which I guess probably exists.
I don't really know that much about this particular, because he talked about yokai. I think the main thing that he was inspired by was that in this modern age of technology, there is no more fear of the dark, which is kind of not true because I'm scared of the dark at times.
People are inherently scared of the dark still.
But there's less fear about it these days. So he wanted to reimagine what a yokai would be like in the modern times.
Interesting device to use though, an umbrella.
Yeah.
But it made for a good visual. So I guess maybe that's what he was thinking, like them getting sucked up into the umbrella. It looks really cool. It's a good idea.
But you were talking about how how it led to the exposition dump.
Yeah, it's basically just two girls looking at a laptop and reading about the backstory of this ghost, which I don't think is really necessary either.
It wasn't that necessary.
Yeah, because it doesn't really go anywhere.
You kind of lose the mystery of it. It just becomes the grudge trope, I think.
And they don't use that information at all. They don't do any further investigating. They just get killed after that, basically.
Well, I mean, what happens that brings them to their demise is that there's like
they get visited upon
by a very Junji Ito looking character, as you had said. That was a perfect way to describe it. He's got like a bowl haircut.
He's very slender.
Very slender, kind of weird looking.
Weird features,
the most, usually this guy really looks at it just like, as soon as you said that, I'm like, yep, I get you 100%.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. He's like a door-to-door salesman of some kind. So he visits the girl while she's doing yoga, like an extended yoga scene. And he brings the cursed umbrella to their doorstep. And then that leads to the climax of the movie where it's the two girls in the apartment or in the share house. The umbrella is there. For some reason, one of the girls decides to open the umbrella inside. And she gets urayed. She gets pulled up into the umbrella.
Well, there's a pretty like scene before that where I think it's Kyoko is returning. Looks like Kyoko returning home, but she kind of like dissipates.
Yeah, she goes tadaima, and like you see her in the background, right? And she's like tadaima and walking, and then she disappears into the background. And then it's followed up by the real Kyoko that comes in. And she's like, Tadaima. And the girl's like, what the fuck? Didn't you just come in?
And then it's like the yoga girl, which I forgot her name. Just call her yoga girl. She like starts stabbing the umbrella, and then
as you would,
she starts stabbing the umbrella, and then it's like, whoa, shit! I'm actually stabbing the person. Like, oh my god!
Classic bait and switch by the Yurei there.
And then it's a pretty like bloody sequence. Nothing too graphic, but I didn't have my contains blood warning, so I was very triggered by it. It was she eventually runs away, and then she just gets captured later. I forgot how does she.
So the movie ends with her kind of running out of the house into this darkened alley, and then like she hears a noise behind her. She turns around, gasps in horror, and then there's a big like ghostly figure just like filling the entire frame, basically, filling the alley behind her, which is a pretty cool look as well. Some pretty good effects in this one.
Yeah, there's definitely. They probably would have used a little bit of CGI.
I would say the weakest effect happens right at the end of the film, where it's like broad daylight, and then there's the Yurei is dressed in black, and she's walking around the streets with a red umbrella. And then she kind of like there's this weird like after effects dissolve, dissolve into
like she particle dissolve.
It's like Thanos did his snap.
That's it. Yeah, just on a much lower budget. But I think that's probably
not much going on thematically in this film. It's just like he wanted to pay homage to like the yokai and yurei of past J horrors, I think.
I think so.
Trying to bring it back to okay effect. I think if this movie was shorter, I would have enjoyed it more. Probably.
I still enjoyed it. But maybe, it maybe did have a little bit of pacing issues. But, I did like the yoga scene.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You can't cut that scene.
Can't cut it out. Make it longer. Cancelled. All right. Shall we move on to
the last
final one?
movie? This one is simply called The Invitation. I'm just looking at the cover of this film. That's a really good cover.
It is a really good cover. It's got a cool. It looks fucked. Like the best way.
You get it after you've watched the film, I guess. But yes, so this film does contain scenes of blood. Just in case.
I need to know.
It is directed by Mieno Hiroho. Or Hiroho Mieno, however you want to read that.
It's actually a pretty hard name to say.
Pretty unusual.
Mieno Hiroho.
Pretty unusual.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue as much.
Another male director there. So this film opens with a 911 call, or 119. What is it in Japan? 112?
Actually, that's true. 119
We lived there for a while. We should know this.
We never had to call the cops.
It's true. 001? Let us know in the comments if you know. But yes,
emergency services call.
Yes, it opens with an emergency services call of a distorted voice saying that their neighbor's house stinks and they haven't seen the lights turn on for a while. So, moshikashite... ... and then it opens. It cuts to two police officers investigating the house in question.
Female officer who is also good looking as well. So you notice. I think that's just the Japanese beauty standard. It's just like, yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a horror movie thing, right?
It kind of you can't help but like the fact that that they are women and that they are hot. You kind of feel more fearful for them, I suppose.
I guess so.
It's easy, if it was just me walking to the house, I don't give a fucking shit about this
guy. There is a male character in this movie as well. There's a male cop there, like a middle-aged man.
I don't remember what it looks like at all. He's definitely a side character.
He's definitely a side character. The main focus is on the woman. But they both start going through this house. They can't turn on the lights. I guess the power's been cut off.
Yeah, it's not really established, is it?
I don't think. Maybe there was a throwaway line that we missed. But they're going through the house with flashlights.
It's just scarier that way.
The house is pretty spooky, even though it's pretty modern-ish. There's tatami flooring in some of the rooms. and traditional Japanese furnishings, but like the hallways and stuff look pretty modern. But yeah, pretty creepy. Lots of narrow hallways and narrow staircases and small claustrophobic rooms with those screens. Where like it's very easy to just put a creepy silhouette behind.
The color grading is very like washed out, cold, dark.
Yeah, it feels like something bad has gone on down in this house. Yeah,
and I feel like for the budget, it's got some fairly like not graphic, but it's they stumble across a few like bloody sequins, I guess. So
the female cop stumbles across a bloodied knife on the floor, and then she discovers a girl who is very creepy looking. She's kind of like hunched over in the closet, and she's like, "Officer, please help me."
Well, not really in that manner.
No, not in that tone. In a creepier tone than that.
She was like, in that I can't quite.
Yeah, we're not actors. We're not actors here.
It's
so
like,
officer,
please help me. It's like it's just kind of soulless. She sounds dead.
Yeah, she sounds dead inside, I guess.
Because we said she's technically is dead, isn't she?
I don't think so. I think she might be the only living character in this one. So she claims that in a deadpan voice. Imagine I'm doing a deadpan voice, but she claims that she's been beaten by her family and she's just snapped and killed her family. But her family keeps moving around. She tried to put them in bags, but they keep moving around. So she says.
So that's a supernatural element of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought she was dead. I guess I'm misinterpreting.
She's pale.
That,
She's pale and
she looks pretty fucking dead.
Yeah, she looks. But like she doesn't have any. No, she's got blood on her top, but I don't think she's got any stab wounds on her. I thought she was alive, but she could be dead. So basically, she. The female cop starts freaking out. The male cop gets spirited away. You just hear her scream in the background. Really and then the female cop runs out to investigate, and she sees him getting dragged away by an unseen force, which is a pretty funny death. But then this female cop starts like getting stalked around the house by these people or these ghosts, I guess, in
giant like body bag, plastic bag,
giant
things.
plastic bags.
Pretty cool aesthetic. It's something that we hadn't seen something like that before.
So the bags are kind of transparent, so you can see like the people kind of pressing against it from the inside, like their hands, which is a pretty cool visual. And it doesn't look as silly as you might think. These people, because they're standing up in these bags and like going after her, right? They're moving very slowly, but luckily she's a character in a horror film, so she can't walk properly.
Her legs just fucking give in. It is such a flaw in the horror movies, unfortunately. I enjoy the trope, but it's just kind of she's a character in a horror film. It's just I mean, she's a cop as well. Like, you think they'd learn how to walk or run. They've learned a little bit of self-defense.
She seems like a rookie though.
But if you're a rookie, you have to have some form of training, don't you think? You
she probably didn't get to the training against ghosts part.
Like, damn it, that's the sick day that she took.
She skipped that module.
And if you had come to our ghost lesson, you would never have been spirited away. It's like, and now she is dead, I guess.
So basically, the film ends kind of with her trying to get out, but the door is locked, and she's backed into a corner by these two ghosts in body bags and the girl who takes out her phone and takes a picture of the female cop in horror.
Well, she basically says like, I can't let you leave, because her father, she says like, my dad says I can't let anyone leave the house.
But I can invite people.
Yeah,
hence the title.
You can learn. You learn that she was the one that called sent the emergency services over. But she takes a photo of the female cop, but then it's basically a match cut where she's no longer there. But then backup comes, and you assume that they're going to meet the same fate.
Yeah. And I guess that's going to keep happening until
like, I guess they get SWAT to come in.
Yeah.
And then,
I wonder how ghosts deal with SWAT.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, me and a mate, we used to always have like this really funny solution where it's like, if there's a ghost haunting a house, just send in the army, and then it's just like, just send in tanks and shit. Like, the ghosts can't mess with that stuff, man. Like, if, you know. So
I'd be interested to see a movie where that happens and how the ghosts deal with it, because ghosts, you know, like, they can do stuff, they can mess with technology and stuff.
This is military hardware, how am I supposed to do about this?
Yeah.
I didn't take that class, god damn it.
I mean, they're often fucking around with ghost hunters, and they're pretty well equipped.
There's I think I sent you the trailer for this. There's a new movie coming out that has Gengar Wang in it.
Okay,
I forgot the title of it, but it is basically about dead people who become like Euros or whatever, and they have to go through like ghost school and stuff. It looks pretty funny. Yeah, it's like a horror comedy.
It's kind of like Monsters Inc., but like for ghosts.
But yeah, this movie, this one was probably the most enjoyable one. It's probably the less deep one. The director didn't really have that much to say about his film. He just said like, I hope I scared you.
Yeah, I think it's just a good showcase of like how you can do these tropes really well.
Yeah.
And effective use of the location as well. It's all, as far as I know, it's all just one house.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
It definitely, if you're gonna save on budget, the lesser locations and the less time you have to move crew around is always the best way to do it, to save time.
Yeah.
If you're bouncing around shooting, it's a lot of work.
It's got a good mix of tension and jump scares as well.
Yeah.
Not all that many jump scares, I'd say. It's more like creeping tension and the typical like slow walking towards you. You know, that's the J horror style, really.
The sound design to this was really fun. I like the buzzing fly sound effects whenever you had the ghosts walking by and whatnot.
There's a weird like wibbly wobbly sound effect at one point. That was pretty good.
This one probably had the most, like, I guess, in terms of the classic J horror technique down really well. Like the pacing was good. I think, like, just judging from watching all of these horror competitions, is that J horror can be probably revived in a manner of it being showcased in short film, because a lot of these films are quite simple. Like, none of the characters are really that deep. It is more like the idea. I guess, like, with Japan, is like, just get attractive female to be the lead, and then you kind of done half the work of feeling scared for like the person. They said maybe for closet, it was a guy, and that was pretty scary. So it
was pretty scary. He didn't. I mean, he wasn't really scared in that film.
I guess he's not like a trained. I don't know. I can't claim that, but. I want to say his acting is the weakest. I don't know.
I think it was just the vibe of the film. It was kind of like just a bloke in his house.
You could definitely tell that there was not that much production design. I mean, the fact that you could see his like Twice memorabilia, it's just like, I like Twice. So
he's just half covered the logo, so you can get away with it. Maybe I don't know.
We can still see
JYP is pretty litigious.
Gio and Sana, that's true. I didn't notice it, but you noticed it. I know, right? Yeah. So they hit it well. So I'm a fake fan.
But yeah, you're right. I think like. I think J-horror works really well in small doses. Like, even if you look at the first Grudge movies, like it's
like an anthology style.
It's almost like different people are getting spooked and spirited away. So each kind of like scene is like a different story almost.
That first Grudge movie is like fantastic. I remember rewatching it a year ago. It's really good. It's really scary.
So
scary.
While there is kind of like a running like mythology behind it, that gets expanded upon in sequels, like the movie itself is broken up into pretty small chunks of horror, which I think works well to the strengths of J horror. But when you start to kind of stretch out like the stories. Even this one that we watched,
the Karakasa.
Karakasa was a little bit long because they tried to build some mythology behind it, I guess.
Yeah. I think he wanted to make it like, because yokais have a mythology to it, so he wanted to expand on that. But the other ones are stronger because you don't know anything about them. Like with the invitation, you don't know why her family is just walking corpses in a bag. And it's just like, you don't know why she looks pale as fuck. Like, is she like literally dead or just dead inside? I actually thought she was dead. I thought she was a ghost, but I guess I misinterpreted that.
And even I think, what was the first one called?
Best Wishes to All.
Yeah, Best Wishes to All is pretty mysterious in its mythology.
Why. It's like, why do I have to torture this guy to be happy? It's just that philosophy, you know. There isn't a mythos or anything to it. Yeah,
like if I didn't have the director, if I didn't watch the video of the director explaining that mythology behind it, you know, it would have been a good kind of discussion point as to like what did grandma mean by that line.
I think I like the first one the most. Best Wishes to All as a thematic film, and I think it's the best looking one as well.
You're a sucker for a mutilated torso, aren't you?
Yeah, I do enjoy them. I do enjoy that Takashi Miike aesthetic.
Yeah.
I think the last one, The Invitation, was the most fun. And then The Closet, I think I enjoyed. I'd put it in third place as just like a one person film essentially, and he's done a pretty good job. And I'm not saying that Karakasa is bad, but I'd put that probably just because it's got pacing issues and it's probably overindulged. But yeah, which is weird because I guess the guy beat out Yoga Girl, so yeah, good time his books, you know. That's rare. So good on you, Nakano Hiroto, for taking third place. But even though these movies came from a competition, it's not a competition. Just watch them. I think they're good stuff. But like, how would you rate these?
Yeah, I enjoyed them all. Probably Karakasa the least so. But that said, like the performances overall, pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say that too.
Yeah, the quality of these films is quite good. All of them have something that stands out. Like I think even Karakasa, I would say the effects overall stand out. And the visual of just that, you know, getting sucked up into the umbrella thing.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
I think that visual as well as the body bag visual, you know, probably the strongest, like long-lasting kind of things from these films. But yeah, I think I have the same kind of rating as you. I'd put them in that order as well.
Back on topic with just the short aspect of it. I mean, we watched a couple of J-horrors at the in-person, I guess, Japanese film festival from Hiroto Nakano and Takashi Shimizu. And was it the play? I forgot the names. It was
Forbidden Play and Immersion.
Yeah,
we've done an episode on them. I'll link it here.
We enjoyed those films, but we didn't find them particularly scary. Whereas these kind of newer films from these younger directors, they didn't look that young, except maybe for the guy in the closet. He was probably the youngest. I think the other guys probably seem like around our age, and we're not young. But just to see these kind of, I guess, newer directors and these shorter films, I think that it's quite effective because you leave a lot to the mystery. It has that like creepypasta feel that you can come. It's kind of like little short snippets of horror. So maybe this is the way to go. Maybe it's on something. And watching these, it makes me feel like I want to make a horror film, a really low budget horror film. It just looks like fun.
Yeah.
You don't need to go too deep into the characters. It's just you kind of have a philosophy or an idea, and then just make something.
Would you put an extended yoga scene in your film, Tavi?
Probably, yeah.
Doesn't hurt, right?
Sure, doesn't hurt. No, not at all.
No, you're right. I would watch like some kind of anthology of these kinds of films.
Oh, maybe, there's heaps of them.
Maybe a Netflix series.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's a really popular series that me and my mate used to watch called Tales of Terror from Tokyo or from Japan, I think what it's called. and they're all anthology ones. Maybe I'll get my hands back on them. We should watch them because they're quite enjoyable. There's a mixed bag of them. They're kind of like Junji Ito style. Some are really scary, and then some are really like goofy, scary. Yeah,
it's good. I think there's room for both. I think like Forbidden Play and Immersion were a little bit on the goofy side, which is probably why we didn't find them as scary. But yeah, like these ones, like because they're so short, they just pack in all the scares. They don't need to expand upon anything. Yeah. But
I think that's all I really have to say about these films. We're not sponsored by them, but just shout out to the Japanese Film Festival online for giving us a chance to see these movies, because there would be quite literally no other way for us to watch these films unless we stumbled across them somehow.
Or they put them on YouTube. Go check out the Japanese Film Festival online. I can't stress that enough. It's happening until the 19th of June, so hopefully you've still got time. I don't know when this will be published.
Yeah, well,
we'll try and get it out soon.
We'll get it out soon. And if you're listening to us and it's post the 19th, I think, then you can just listen to our spoilers here, and then hopefully, I don't know, we've painted the picture enough for you.
Yep.
But also check out Baby Assassins, because that movie's cool as well. It's one of my favorite franchises at the moment.
Yeah. All right, guys. But yeah, what did you think of these films if you saw them? Did you have the same ranking as us? Do you have any ideas for a cool horror movie? Let us know. You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at twoasianblokes to see what we're up to. Thank you for listening as always, guys. Until next time, watch out for that closet. Ooh. Watch out for the umbrella. It's umbrella weather now, Tavi.
Yeah, it is umbrella weather. I was using the umbrella before, but it was broken, so...
So no ghost is getting through.
You can't get through. So yeah.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.